Automotive equipment. Oh, there it is. That. I'm screwed now.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, you're putting for Pleasant Ave. Yeah, we're giving them a little section so they can do their drainage and all that stuff.
Okay. Oh, I got you.
Regency.
Okay. Yeah, that's okay. That makes sense. So what are we gonna do with this one?
Yes.
So this would be 17. Right, but over here we're gonna do
Yeah, it might be okay if you decided to put up a store.
Soccer meeting.
Yeah.
Put up a storefront.
This
Then I completely understand.
Oh, is that why all the cars are pulling in over there?
instead of having
I said my wife's gonna fall right into that.
Oh, really?
Same with my daughter. She buys all her shit for $6.
Why not? What's wrong with you?
Yeah,
At the end of the semester.
Are you?
Exact same thing.
I'm sure there's books in here too.
Yep.
I went to one of those church classes 2 weeks ago.
Good evening. We'd like to welcome everyone to the Mount Olive Township Workshop Meeting for April 5th, 2016. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence for our men and women that serve?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Michelle, would you read the Open Public Meetings Act, please?
According to the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been given to the Daily Record. Notice has been posted in the Municipal Building, 204 Flanders Drakestown Road, Bud Lake, New Jersey, and notices were sent to those requesting the same.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Amianda?
Here.
Mr. Ferrante?
Here.
Mrs. Labow?
Yes.
Mr. Mania?
Yes, here.
Mr. Stewart?
Here.
Mr. Roman?
Here.
Mr. Nacastro?
Here. Let's see. First, no item up for discussion is freeholder resolution update by Mrs. Labow.
Thank you. I'm looking to the attorney to find out if this is,
Yes, I spoke to county council today, and the draft resolution that made it into the public
Circulated.
and has apparently raised a lot of concerns was drafted solely for discussion purposes within the board of chosen freeholders. It's a very divisive issue. There is no consensus at this time among the freeholders. There is no action anticipated anytime soon.
okay.
So at this point, I would suggest that we monitor it but not take any overt actions with regard to this topic.
Okay, good. Yeah, because that was really alarming reading through that. I was like, what?
Yes.
It's very counterproductive.
Understood,
Yeah,
understood.
okay, good. So are you going to be able to will he notify you if they take action?
We'll
or-
keep tabs with him and
okay.
see what's up. But as I said, it is not moving anywhere quickly. It apparently developed sometime last year. Several freeholders were against the idea of it.
Mm-hmm.
Then several freeholders were for it. And as I said, the draft resolution that has made it into the public was really intended just to start a dialogue and
Just
discuss
for
the
them, yes.
issues.
So it wasn't an official, something they were planning on voting, it was just a conversation
No,
piece,
not
basically,
as
yeah.
far as I was informed. And
Okay, great.
although there are several counties that have adopted similar resolutions, the feeling is that it hasn't made any difference in any of the contracts or contracting process.
It limits your,
It does,
very
but
limiting.
it appears that it's not being followed as written. But for Morris County, it is not coming down the
Okay.
pike anytime soon. There's no consensus on it, so there's not going to be any action anytime soon.
thank you very much for
You're
checking
welcome.
that out.
Thank you. We have 16 resolutions here. Does anyone have any questions, Mr. Roman?
Laura, regarding Resolution 7 and 8, where we're purchasing vehicles from from Ford dealerships that are not within locally, have we reached out to Family Ford or any other local dealership that can meet the price and or the specs to the vehicle, with the whole intent of trying to keep it as local as possible?
I don't know, but I can ask Joe. I'll let you know.
So I think, and even, let's say, if it's the case where Ford, the family, let's say Family Ford in this instance, didn't bid for it, are we allowed to say, hey, we got a price for this, can you?
Yeah, and I think that these are state contracts.
Well, that's the reason why we're going with them, is because they're on contracts and they're already authorized, which means, they've already done all the pay-to-play background, this and that, we don't have to do any of that. So, depending upon the cost, obviously, if we go with somebody local, they're gonna have to provide pay-to-play paperwork. Also, we might wind up having a bid, in which case, we can't just target someone.
Okay.
Right, the reason that it's not local is because it's off the state contract.
Right, yeah, I recognize that, but I would, I'd like us to at least make somewhat of an effort to, whenever possible,
Actually, I would assume that if Family Ford, which actually is in Netcon, not that it makes a difference, but ultimately, they would have been given the opportunity to participate in the state contract, and for whatever reason decided not to. For whatever reasons, whether it's, they didn't want to go through all of the paperwork that was involved, they didn't want to match the price that was involved, for whatever reason. At this point, it's my inclination to just move forward with the purchases as Joe has listed them off of the state contract.
Right, and no point in my suggestion that we hold off on these resolutions, but I just want to at least make sure that we at least make the effort, or at least make them aware.
We can add it to the committee agenda for Wednesday if you want to discuss it then.
Okay. And the other one is on the 13 for the egress for the proposed service station. Is this one of these resolutions that, were we not to pass it, it would open us to litigation?
That was a stipulation or requirement of the planning board, so, I can ask them, exactly why they had that in there, but I mean, we're requiring it of the dealership, so I don't know that.
I think that's for the.
The gas station.
For the road
Well, I
ranger?
think the DEP was requesting.
The DOT.
Yeah, you would be
Yeah.
opening yourself up to litigation
Yep.
by not passing that, because it was a condition of approval.
Okay.
The decision of the council not to grant that would be arbitrary and capricious in my mind, which is the standard on a prerogative writ action, unless you had some grounds that wasn't part of the record before the planning board, that you would be opening up the township to at least the prerogative writ action for arbitrary and capricious. John, you've been there for a long time, would you agree with that?
I agree, Mayor.
And that is what I was afraid of. Thank you.
Anything else on resolutions?
I have.
We have 2 ordinances. Any questions, concerns? Yes, Mr. Roman?
I have a problem with the ordinance regarding for the precious dealer licensing and requirements of this one.
Precious dealer or precious metals?
Precious
metals.
everything, I guess.
Yeah,
Okay.
By the looks of it, it looks like precious everything. I mean, this-
9-2016.
This is this ordinance, I mean, seems to be able to require just the person that occasionally might take advantage of seeing, something at a flea market with the purpose, and buys it for the purpose of reselling it. And I think it's just something that, the way I read it is, it's too onerous, and I don't see why we should be requiring that of our township residents.
I was looking through that as well when we were talking earlier, and it does seem a little bit vague. I mean, license requirement for dealers, but it's talking about no person partnership. I mean, we're talking about selling furniture, clothing. There isn't anything. What does that do for people, residents that sell on eBay or do something? Does that open up any kind of a?
I believe it just applies to pawn shops, but if you would like me to get clarification from the.
I think that's the issue everyone has that read through this, is it doesn't seem quite clear it's just for business type.
Right.
Seems like it can be open to residents as well, which, could be a problem, obviously. So I think we,
Yeah, I mean, I have no problem with if somebody opens up a storefront with, you know, for purposes buying and selling, and that is their business model. But, I mean, this is, you're talking,
And not for a homeowner.
it looks like,
No.
I mean, it does have language there that exempts somebody who does something out of their permanent residence. But you know, what if they decided to open up their own, you know, thing out of their own permanent residence? I don't see the need for this, and is this something that the police department requested?
Yes. I mean, the intent, of course, is to capture stolen goods as they pass through pawn shops.
which I understand, because it happened a few years back when I got robbed, and they can't track you, obviously can't find anything because there's no records of who bought and who sold. I don't have a problem with that. I think it's fine. It was just probably maybe the language in here wasn't the right.
Do we have registered pawn shops in town?
I believe we have 2.
Okay. Now, I mean, I'd be okay if the ordinance was tailored to target those existing storefronts, because I'm assuming they already keep track of inventory and as such, and that's their business model.
And Mr. Roman, I understand the concerns, and I just want to point out that on the first part of the ordinance, the dealer is defined, and it does make it clear that it is for trades or businesses. And then
Right.
the section that is the license requirement is for dealers.
Okay.
So it is targeting individuals or businesses engaged in these specific
Wholly or in part.
businesses.
Wholly or in part, I mean, so it's a person and wholly or in part, so I mean, they could be
Right.
doing something
Follow-
else.
Following trades or businesses, the buying for purpose of resale of precious metals, jewelry, or secondhand goods. So we may just need to tighten up the definition of dealer, so it
Right.
doesn't include your average,
Homeowner.
homebody who is selling off some of their old jewelry or what have you. So that may
Or
address
just the
your
per- yeah,
concerns.
Or the person that, you know, takes advantage of, you know, say when they have a flea market and just that's what they do to make a little income.
Ms. Labo?
I think with the state is regulated quite tightly on this also, that if they're gonna buy gold or silver from somebody and they weigh it, person wants to see the scale, they have to show them the scale. So this just seems like it's, I mean, all of the shops already have to deal with it, but maybe the police just wanted to, have it in our own town as well.
That's my
Opposed.
understanding.
Yeah.
They just wanted it all
Because this is-
clarified and out there.
Yeah, because this is like almost boilerplate from the state, isn't it?
It is a boilerplate ordinance.
Yeah, that's what I
They
thought
didn't
when I.
draft it, our
No.
attorney didn't draft it.
No, I
No,
Doesn't mean-
no,
doesn't mean that
it was
it's-
provided to us for review.
Right.
I'm sure it's adopted in many other municipalities.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that it's right for Mount Olive in terms of, I think the council is overthinking it a bit because nobody is going to apply this to somebody who's got a flea market. This
No.
clearly, as council said, deals with those businesses which are engaged in the resale of the types of items that are identified within the ordinance itself.
Mr.
But,
Manning?
Maybe we should consider tabling it and have a representative of the police department address it
Button up the dealership.
at another meeting.
We could,
Do we currently license those businesses now, those pawnbrokers? They're required to be
Yeah, I need to
licensed?
get a business license,
Yeah.
just like all of
Right, so then, if we target this language that it's only those entities that are required to be licensed within the township, then it limits them to that. You know, so I'd be in favor of something like that. So if you're already required to be licensed to engage in said business, then now you have to improve your record keeping.
Again, I think you're overthinking it, but for the purposes of the discussion this evening, the administration's gonna pull this ordinance for consideration. I'll have the police department here to explain where it is that they got
That's what I
this
said.
ordinance, the application.
Table it and have a representative come in.
There's no rush to push this through.
Absolutely.
that's my next question.
Thank you.
Was there a rush?
Anything else on the ordinances? Any old business? Seeing none, any new business? Mr. Roman?
As the weather was improving and starting to warm up, not evident by the past 2 days' temperature, I once again got reached by residents wanting us to improve boat access at the lake. And I was wondering if the administration has any plans or if there's anything that we can do to create boat access on the beach side of the lake.
Nothing can be done this year. It requires significant investigation and implementation of the appropriate type of ingress and egress that would be required. As of now, you can put your boat in 2 locations. One is next to the boathouse, which is off of Sand Shore Road, and you can pay to have your boat put into the lake for $15 at Docks Marina. We'll take a look at that issue in terms of improving the municipal access off of the lakefront, the old beach side, in next year's budget. But it's not something that can be fixed easily, and it would require likely approval from the state of New Jersey, which would take a lengthy period of time to obtain.
And I think it's an endeavor well worth at least investigating. That's all.
Thank you. Anything else? Seeing none, anyone from the public wish to be heard? Seeing none, close to the public. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No, closed. I'd like to open up the Mount Olive Township Council meeting for April 5th, 2016 to order. Michelle, would you read the Open Public Meetings Act, please?
According to the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been given to the Daily Record. Notice has been posted in the Municipal Building, 204 Flanders Drakestown Road, Bud Lake, New Jersey, and notices were sent to those requesting the same.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Amianda?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrante?
Here.
Mrs. Laybow?
Here.
Mr. Mania?
Here.
Mr. Stewart?
Here.
Mr. Roman?
Here.
Mr. Nacastro?
Here. Mr. Amianda, would you approve the minutes from the workshop and public meeting for March 22nd, 2016?
I make a motion for approval of the minutes of previous meetings on March 22nd, 2016, work session and public meetings.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Amianda?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrante?
Yes.
Mrs. Laybow?
Yes.
Mr. Mania?
Yes.
Mr. Stewart?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes. We have 26 pieces of correspondence. Does anyone have anything on those? Seeing none. Moving on to ordinances. We have, let me see where we are. I open the hearing to the public on ordinance number 8-2016 entitled, "An Ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Mount Olive authorizing the township to take certain dormant bonds and/or funds into the township's general fund if not claimed after notice and publication." Mr. Ferrante?
Should I move for adoption and final passage, ordinance number 8-2016?
Second.
Any discussion? Yeah, right. Okay, anyone from the public wish to be heard? Seeing none, close to the public. Roll call, please.
Mr. Amianda?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrante?
Yes.
Mrs. Laybow?
Yes.
Mr. Mania?
Yes.
Mr. Stewart?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes. I believe we're going to table and move the ordinance number 9. Remove
Make a
from...
motion to table
Do we-
ordinance number 9-2016.
I'll second it.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Amianda?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrante?
Yes.
Mrs. Laybow?
Yes.
Mr. Mania?
Yes.
Mr. Stewart?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes. I never did the other one,
That's the first reading had on ordinance
though.
Ordinance
Honey,
public hearing.
yeah. Yeah,
Did you say the dates on this?
I never did the
Right.
one.
Oh, you have smaller print?
Public hearing, we're gonna do it.
Oh, you have it there. They use bigger font for me because I can't see.
Oh, the whole ordinance from here? Or just from me? I just forgot to do this part.
know you should do all of that.
Okay, so I got to do, okay. I just have to go back to ordinance number 8, because I forgot to do the final passage on that, so Michelle wants me to redo that again.
Okay.
So I will just ask the, open to the hearing for the public on ordinance number 8-2016, an ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Mount Olive, authorizing the township to take certain dormant bonds and funds into the Township General Fund if not claimed after notice and publication. Mr. Ferrante?
Sure, I move for adoption and final passage of ordinance number 8-2016.
Second?
Anyone from the public wish to be heard? Seeing none, close to the public. Any discussion? None? Roll call, please.
Mr. Amianda?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrante?
Yes.
Mrs. Labow?
Yes.
Mr. Mania?
Yes.
Mr. Stewart?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes, ordinance number 8, ordinance number 8-2016 is passed on second reading, and I hereby direct the clerk to forward a copy of the same to the mayor and publish notice of adoption as required by law. Sorry about that.
Mr. President?
Yes.
I have a correction to ordinance 10-2016 before you
Yes.
start.
Okay.
It should be lot 5.300.
Point lot 00.
Yes.
Thank you. I open the hearing to the public on ordinance number 10-2016. Oh, wrong side. Entitled, an ordinance of the Township Council of Township of Mount Olive authorizing the execution and acceptance of a deed and restriction for the purposes of imposing Green Acres restrictions on the property of Block 6000, Lot 5.3.00. Mr. Mania?
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that ordinance number 10-2016 be introduced by title and passed on first reading, and that a meeting be held on April 19, 2016, at 7 p.m. at the Municipal Building, 204 Flanders Drakestown Road, Bud Lake, New Jersey, for a public hearing, consideration of second reading, and passage of said ordinance, and that the clerk be directed to publish, post, and make available said ordinance in accordance with the requirements of the law.
Second?
Gotcha. Okay. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Amianda?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrante?
Yes.
Mrs. Labow?
Yes.
Mr. Mania?
Yes.
Mr. Stewart?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes. We have 16 consent resolutions. Does anyone wish to have any move to non-consent? Does anyone from the public wish to be heard? Seeing none, close to the public. Mr. Stewart, would you move resolutions, consent resolutions 1 through 16?
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that consent resolutions 1 through 16 be moved for final passage.
Second?
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Amianda?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrante?
Yes.
Mrs. Labow?
Yes.
Mr. Mania?
Yes.
Mr. Stewart?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes. We have one resolution, non-consent, that Dawn will read.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Title is a resolution of the Township of Mount Olive in the County of Morris and State of New Jersey authorizing Connell Foley LLP to execute a stipulation of dismissal on behalf of Mount Olive Township in connection with litigations filed by Vollers against Mount Olive Township. Whereas on July 23, 2002, Vollers Excavating and Construction, Inc., Vollers filed an action against the Township of Mount Olive in the Superior Court of New Jersey, Morris County Law Division, docket number MRS-L-2454-02, the action alleging inter alia lien and trust fund claims relating to the ITC Crossings Shopping Center project, the ITC project. And whereas the action was subsequently consolidated with a previously filed litigation captioned Vollers Excavating and Construction, Inc. versus AIG Baker Mount Olive LLC et al. Versus Northeast Mesa et al., docket number MRS-L-2203-02. And whereas AIG Baker Mount Olive LLC, in accordance with the developers' agreements with the Township of Mount Olive dated September 28, 2000, agreed to defend and indemnify the township with respect to claims arising out of the ITC project. And whereas AIG Baker Mount Olive LLC, pursuant to the terms of the developers' agreements, designated Connell Foley LLP to represent the Township of Mount Olive in the action which the township approved. And whereas Connell Foley LLP has reported to the Township of Mount Olive that the action has been amicably settled by way of a confidential settlement term sheet entered into between Vollers and AIG Baker Mount Olive LLC and other affiliated entities, insurers and sureties of the parties, and that Vollers has agreed to dismiss the action against the township with prejudice and without costs and expense. And whereas, pursuant to the confidential settlement term sheet, Connell Foley LLP requests authorization to execute a stipulation of dismissal of the action with prejudice and without cost or expense on behalf of the township. Now therefore be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Mount Olive, County of Morris, State of New Jersey as follows. Connell Foley LLP is hereby authorized to execute a stipulation of dismissal of the action with prejudice and without cost or expense on behalf of the township. This resolution will take effect immediately upon its passage.
Thank you. Will someone, Ms. Laybow, will you move resolution number 17?
I move for approval of resolution number 17. Right?
Second it.
Any discussion?
Yes.
Ms. Laybow?
That's what I was, could you give us the abridged version on what all of this means at this point? The Cliff Notes?
Oh, no, read that all over again.
Backwards.
Cliff Notes is there was litigation relating to the project on the the ITC shopping center. As a result, Vollers not only filed mechanic liens against the funds that AIG had deposited, but also instituted a suit against the township. Under the developers agreement, AIG retained counsel and defended the township in that litigation. After several years, my understanding is it has reached a settlement. We have a consent order for settlement in hand, and the mechanics liens are going to be released. The funds are going to be released back to AIG. The project is going to recommence. This resolution is simply to authorize Connell Foley's attorney to execute the stipulation of dismissal on behalf of the township, since they do not, they're not township attorney.
Okay.
If you have any more in-depth questions, Mr. McBride, who is AIG Baker's attorney, is in the audience tonight.
No, I'm good. I just wanted to make sure that I was understanding it, because a couple of us have been here
Okay.
for the whole process. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Anyone from the public wish to be heard? Seeing none, close to the public. Roll call, please.
Mr. Amianda?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrante?
Yes.
Mrs. Laybow?
Yes.
Mr. Mania?
Yes.
Mr. Stewart?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes. Mr. Roman, would you move the bill list, please?
I move for adoption and approval of the bill list.
Second?
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Amianda?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrante?
Yes.
Mrs. Laybow?
Yes.
Mr. Mania?
Yes.
Mr. Stewart?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes. Any administrative reports?
Tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. at the Mount Olive High School, the Harlem Wizards will be playing a number of different teachers and representatives from the township. The teachers are from CMS, and it's to benefit CMS. They did the same thing either last year or the year before. I played in the last game. I was going to play in this game, but I'm actually out of town. But it's a fun event, and it's worthwhile going. On Saturday, the Mount Olive FOP 122 will be hosting a benefit for the Unity Tour at Gold's Gym Flanders. The spin events are, I think, at 9 to 10:30 and 11 to 12:30. The cost is $25 per rider, and I will be riding in the earlier event. Jersey Girl Brewery will be having a private grand opening on Thursday, April 14th at 5:30. It's by invitation only. If you wanted to go and hadn't gotten an invitation, I don't know who they were sent to, contact Lisa. I'm sure that she can get you an invitation to the event. The Jersey Girl Brewery will be open to the public starting Friday, April 15th, the next day. On April 18th, from 6:30 to 8:30, I will be hosting a meet and greet for Jim, a candidate for Morris County Sheriff's Office. That'll be at the Corner Pub. Again, that's Monday, April 18th, from 6:30 to 8:30. And also, I think it's in a couple of weeks, is the Pajama 5K Fun Run. I just purchased my pajamas for that event today. You'll all be surprised. You have to come and see how I'm going to be dressed. Little hint, it has a red cape.
Oh, no.
But registration is still open for all those who have not yet signed up.
Thank you.
I don't know if Laura has anything.
Anything, Laura? Nothing. Thank you. Any old business? Any new business? Any legal matters?
No, Mr. President.
Did you say illegal matters?
Illegal matters. Mr. Amianda, anything on Board of Ed or seniors?
Yes. Wait a minute, I'm looking. Okay, the Board of Education did not meet. The next Board of Education meeting is on April 11, 2016. And senior citizens report, Mount Olive Senior Citizen Club held its business meeting today, April 5, 2016 at 11 a.m. The agenda for the meeting included citizens' transportation and planning summer trips and recreation. Mrs. Dorothy Tooley, our club president, reminded the club that May is Senior Citizens Month. The town council will join them in celebrating the month with a special treat to a luncheon and ice cream during May. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ferranti, anything on environmental, lake, or library?
Environmental Committee meets tomorrow at 7 o'clock here in the municipal building, and there'll be a representative from the Raritan Headwaters Association to discuss this year's well test event. And the Bud Lake Association will have their spring cleanup on Saturday, April 28th. 9 a.m. we could meet at the Pavilion Lounge for, they will be cleaning up the shoreline at Sand Shore and Route 46.
Thank you. Ms. Lebow, anything on economic TNR or TNR?
Nothing this week.
Thank you. Mr. Maney, anything on legislative or planning board?
Planning Board meets on the 14th and the 21st.
Board of Health meets on April 20th at 6:30 in this room. Mr. Roman, anything on open space or rec?
Open Space meets next week, and Recreation did not meet last month.
Thank you. Mr. Stewart, anything on MOTV?
Yes, we actually had some two main videos that we presented. One on the Mount Olive Area Chamber of Commerce Business Networking event, as well as Centenary College's degree program for Social Media Divide. We presented two for posting.
Nice. Thank you. Anyone from the public wish to be heard? Seeing none, close to the public. Council comments, anything, Mr. Amianda?
No.
Mr. Ferranti?
Nope.
Ms. Lebow?
Nope, good.
Mr. Maney?
No.
Mr. Stewart?
Not for me.
Mr. Roman?
Nah.
And none for me, so do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you all.
You beat her. Wow. You caught her down.
Yeah.
Greg Dolliver Awards are
I screwed up
at the
that
same
whole
time
thing.
that Jersey Brewer, right?
Kind of day it's been,
You
the kind
know,
of meeting it's been.
I caught myself after I did, and I'm like, I didn't read
Actually, a
the
half hour before
last
that.
part of that to close it out. And I'm
Did
like,
I pay for that?
Yeah.
yeah, just, it was very,
So you're authorized to,
Yeah, when I saw that invitation, I was
that was in the
Oh,
consent agenda. Yeah.
We're all going the following night to the
Yeah,
general
here, I think I have an extra copy. Here's an extra copy of it. Yeah, we'll, Michelle needs to know where
See
it's
the new app that came out, too? It's all,
Oh, Jersey?
it's all in Jersey breweries. It's pretty wild. There's an app and it actually shows when they're open, when specials are. Yes, 10% off when you register at most of them.
no problem.
Including like this. Regular restaurants. I'll send you the link for it.
Yeah, please.
Okay.
we're good for 1:30. I'm good for
Damn good job as normal.
My wife's not home, that's it.
Ah, no, one second.
really beautiful.
The property looks really nice.
Yeah.
She always thinks I always do more than just go to a meeting. I don't know why.
I think also having an apartment is just not that.
That's what she asked me.
Because it really is for a very specific buyer, I guess. I mean, it looks like it would work. I mean, I saw walk-in clock, because, you know, the three things that I really need is the apartment, a fenced yard, and being a place to work. And it kind of, and, you know, and the other place to work, and I actually.
How you doing, my friend?
But it doesn't look like there's much.
It's funny because
I want to get.
So I've been playing, I was playing with the phone, I was like this. You learn to lock the front door.
I like that little part. Like, I would almost rather live there than in a friend's house. I just, there's not enough storage room, but I think my dad just like to have it.
The numbers are right there.
Other than my house now, and like the Florida map we're in, so
We tried to make it as easy as
space between the room, and it's just not that private. You know, I just moved him in with me, and I've lived with him for like 20 years. So the idea of having like
have his own, so that was very specific. It could be, I don't think that it was so much.
And, you know, like I said, I have everything, just my phones are running out of the office. So, you know, if you need anything, call me. And if I need to, I can come with the folder and we can sit and figure it out. Okay? All right, good, thanks. Nice to meet you. No problem. You. Nice to meet
I looked it up, and there's like a very, very teeny tiny. Maybe my dogs would get brain cancer.
I was looking that up and it depends on how, like, there are some houses where, here's your house, and here's your.
Right.
I do a lot of
He
external.
was traveling
Exterior.
east.
East?
He was traveling east and wound up going.
How did he get that?
And that's
He lost control.
All the way over that way?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a long, I mean,
I've seen some real,
I guess so.
This is far enough.
Is he all right?
Yes.
Well, there was
Yeah.
4 people